We're going to take a journey together through nearly 2,000 years of God's dealings with his people. And this is going to be a wild ride. I think this is the first time anybody's attempted to put 2,000 years of church history and the dealings of God with his people in a short slot. So we appreciate the fact that some of you have come from a long, long time, and we believe this will be 2 days. That'll be a massive investment in your lives and the ministries of the people you touch will be involved with. You and I are going to look together at a small, and I'll say a small, sifting from the millions of records of what God has done in and with his church to make for himself a people that he is not ashamed to be called their God. There are many bad chapters we have in Christian history. And we don't even want to talk about those things. We're looking for things in which God has been honored, in which the church has had its finest hour. In research, whether it's chemistry or physics or some other discipline, what you have to do is sort of, especially if you're analyzing something, is to find out what is really going on in a situation. Not the catalysts, not the things that are side effects or things that are interesting but not significant. And come down to the bottom line. And then I realized, it took me 10 years because I am thick, that same discipline is not wasted. You know, when Jesus fed the 5,000, he not only fed them, he also had basketfuls left over. So God is economical in what he does, but he also is absolutely generous. So there's a great giving, but all the pieces are collected afterwards. I'll say this, God never wastes anything. So wherever you've come from, whatever your situation is now, under the redemption and the power of God, he will take everything, even the things that you think are bad things that have been wasted, and use them for his glory. So what we're going to do here is try and give you a distillation of common elements in the messages of great awakenings wherever real revival has happened in history. I don't mean revivals like they do in some countries where they say revival beginning Tuesday and ending Wednesday. I'm talking about the things where God has absolutely swept nations and transformed not only individuals and cities and communities, but sometimes affected entire nations. We're looking too at common threads that underline all the effective missionary endeavors that have changed the world. We'll be looking too at those things that occur, or the emphasis that occur in lasting evangelism. I'm concerned about long-term things, not crowds of people coming, but who is still going to be there 40, 50 years from now? What's going to happen to their children and to their children's children? So what I'm going to try and give you a little leading here. None of this is original. I want to apologize for not having anything original at all. Everything that you get today is something that has been said hundreds of thousands of times. But these things that have so much in common when the church has done its best in history have in many cases become uncommon in our time. They are things we simply forget. One of the reasons why revivals are necessary is because we forget. And there is a law in physics, second law of thermodynamics, and it says things left to themselves will increase in disorder and less power that is available will be available. So we're in a situation, and in many places in the world I face this, where we desperately need a visitation of God. In other times, I've called this series we're going to look at, and it's just 16 key areas, running without a message. There is a story in Scripture of a man called Ahimaaz, and he was a very keen person, and this huge event took place, and so they sent runners to tell David what had happened. This guy was so fast, he ran ahead of everybody else. And when he got there, David realized this is an urgent message. Here he is. He goes, "What is the message?" He says, "Oh, I don't know. I was just really fast." So the idea we're trying to say that you can be very keen, you can be very excited, you can really want to do something, but when you get there, if you don't know what you're talking about, then what's the point of passing everybody else? So I have become convinced that one of the great needs of the church is to visit again, not only what God says in the Scriptures, but what he's done in history through this sorting process that would simply isolate elements that I think would be tremendously valuable for the times in which we live. This journey together will be a wild ride. I need to warn you to start. People have been killed for getting hold of one of these in the past, so I'm going to give you 16. We'll just see what happens in this conference. But many of the things that we will share together in these 2 intense days altered not only individuals, but almost everything around them, and sometimes all the way up to a nation and the world. For some, it meant almost complete loss of almost everything they did before. So it is a scary thing to be get hold of these things. Knowledge in Scripture equals responsibility.